If you like solving word puzzles, this question might be for you. You need to look at the 9 letters on the left and determine what word can you form using all the letters in the box. Give yourself 10 to 15 seconds and see what's the best way to solve the problem. I'm going to give you a quick hint. Sometimes, as I move from left to right, or from right to left, or diagonally, or up and down, you might get an idea of what kind of word you can form. So hopefully this tip will help you here. Do you recognize the pattern? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. Obviously, there are many words that can be formed with the letters in these 9 boxes. But the best word that we can form contains all the letters and contains no duplicates. If we think of the sequence and start in the middle and then go around counterclockwise, we see that we can form a word brilliant, B-R-I-L-L-I-A-N-T. So the correct answer is brilliant. Hopefully you've nailed this question and got to the correct answer on your own. Here's the interesting question that might get you puzzled. You need to explain why the calculation that you see is correct. And you have a calculation 1 plus 1 equals 10. Give yourself 10 seconds and let me give you a hint. Try to think out of the box and try to see what else can be going on here besides just the calculations. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. Typically, when we do calculations, we use 10 digits in the decimal system. We use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But here, calculations are done in the binary system, and there are only 2 digits in the binary system, 1 and 0. So what happens when you get calculation in the binary system and you add 1 plus 1, what looks 10 in the decimal system looks like 2 in the binary system. So the correct answer, this calculation is possible because of the binary system. Let me demonstrate this to you. If you launch Calculator in Windows and then switch to the Programmer Calculator, you can choose different systems. By default, it's a decimal system. But if we switch to binary, and then we can add 1 plus 1 equals what looks like 10, in reality is 2 in the binary system. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Here's the interesting question you see sometimes on the test. It checks your knowledge of verbal reasoning and understanding of the problem. And some people might argue that it tests your sense of humor as well. Young professional realized that pockets of his jeans were totally empty. But then he realized there was something else in there. How is it possible? Do you think you know the answer? Give yourself 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. This is typically what you get on the test. Also, I'm gonna give you a hint. Please take a close look at the picture to see if you might see something unusual. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. And the solution is very simple. There was a hole in the pocket of the young professional's jeans. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Here's the challenging question you might frequently see on the test. Florist has 57 beautiful plants. All but 7 were sold. How many plants are left? There are 4 different choices. 7, choice B 57, choice C 64, and choice D 50. Take a close look at this question and see if you might come up with the answer. Give yourself 10 to 15 seconds. This is typically as much time as you would get on the test. Do you think you came up with the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. I think you heard me correctly. So the answer is 7 plants are left. How is it possible? The answer is hidden in the tricky worded sentence. All but 7 died. So this is why the correct answer is A. Florist had 57 plants and all of them but 7 died. That's why the correct answer is A, 7. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. Here is the question which tests your understanding of English language, your vocabulary, as well as your ability in logical reasoning. What has 4 legs but can't walk? Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer. Do you think you found the answer? Let me give you a quick hint. Think out of the box and think of not necessarily something that walks. Did you figure it out? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. As you might have figured it, the answer is chair, and the alternative answer could be armchair, table, or stool. Hopefully you figured it out on your own and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. I had this question being asked as part of consulting job interview. How many seconds are there in a year? Take a look at the picture. It might give you a hint. Do you think you know the answer? Think of the logic. How would you calculate how many seconds are there in a year? Or maybe there is an alternative. Always try to think out of the box. This would be my hint to you. And give yourself 10 to 15 seconds. This is as much time as you might get answering these types of questions in the test. Now let's continue and get to the correct solution together. Obviously, this is a tricky question, and it challenges you in understanding of the word second. There are 2 meanings in the word second. One is second, for example, 1 minute has 60 seconds. But second one is second, where you have sequence of first and second. And the second meaning of the second is used in this particular question. So if we go back to the question, in the year there are 12 months, and there are 12 second days. 1 second day in each month. January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd, and etc. Hopefully you've nailed this question. It gives you some laugh, and you now know how to answer similar problems in the test. Here is the tricky question, which tests your imagination, knowledge of English words, and logical reasoning. What word can you form using all the letters in the box? And you're presented with the box that contains 9 squares, and each square has a letter inside. Take a closer look at this picture and see if you can come up with the answer. This might be the right time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this and get to the correct solution together. Obviously, there are quite a few words that can be formed with these letters, but the best word will only contain one of each of the 9 letters presented here on the screen. The best solution here is think of the sequence. A lot of times authors of this question put letters in the opposite orders of the way we currently read this. So for example, if we read left to right or top to bottom, they might put word letters that will go in the sequence from right to left or from bottom to the top. And this is exactly the case here. The correct answer here is word beautiful, which starts in the upper right corner. And then you go by the letters B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. And that's how you get to the correct answer, which is the word beautiful. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. Here's the interesting question, which is easy to understand, but at the same time you will have a lot of fun solving it. You need to calculate the simple expression 12 divided by 2 and then multiplied on the value in parentheses, which is 3 minus 1. Take a look closely and see if you can come up with the answer. There are 3 operations here: division, multiplication, and subtraction. All you need to determine is which one to do first, second, and third. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue and get it solved together. The order of operations in math tells us that the first expression we need to solve is in parentheses. We first need to calculate 3 minus 1. And obviously the answer is 2. The big question is, what do we do next? The order PEMDAS tells us that we need to do multiplication and division. But what order doesn't mention is that we need to do it from left to right. And what's interesting, the acronym itself is a little bit confusing, because it shows multiplication first and then division. But in our case, we need to do division first and divide 12 by 2, and then do multiplication. Once we divide 12 by 2, we get to 6, and the final expression we need to solve would be 6 multiplied by 2. So the correct answer here is 12. Let me give you a quick hint. Even if you don't know the answer, you can always use a calculator. Most modern calculators do support expressions. Let me demonstrate. For example, if you type calculator in Google, it shows the calculator which you can use to solve the expressions. You can preview expression, and once you hit the equal sign, it calculates it for you. And you can see that the correct answer here is 12. Another alternative is to use Microsoft Excel, which is available on almost any Windows machine. Here you can enter the expression right inside any cell. And Microsoft Excel will perform the calculations. So, did you solve this challenge on your own? Was it easy for you? Please share your thought process and your solution in the comment section of this video. Here's an interesting question which tests your spatial thinking. How many four-sided shapes do you see? And you're presented with the picture on the left, which has a lot of different shapes. First, you need to be clear on the definition of four-sided shape and have a good understanding of what it means. Once you have the definition, you can count all the shapes on the picture that match this criteria. Did you figure it out? Let's jump to the solution so we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. So as I mentioned, first let's do a definition of the four-sided shape. And the simple definition is that the shape has four sides. For example, rectangle has four sides, and you see a rectangle 1 here which has four sides, and this shape here matches the criteria. Shapes that are covered by other shapes are not four-sided. For example, we have something that mimics square here, but because it's covered by another square, it is not four-sided. Actually, it has 5 sides. The key to answering this question is to make sure that you didn't miss any shapes. In fact, it's so easy to miss because some shapes are inside of the other. Let me show you all 8 shapes here on this picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's look at inside shapes that form another shape. Shape 2 and 3 form shape 4, and shapes 1, 2, and 3 form a shape 5. Now, was it easy to solve for you? Do you see any shapes we might have missed? Please share your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Hope this video was helpful and helped you solve your challenges. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video.